Welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon, and today I am speaking with Fabi Paolini.
Yes.
Fabi, thank you. Yeah, we talked about beforehand that I was trying to get that name right. It's an amazing name for an amazing woman. Fabi, thank you for being here and squeezing me into your calendar.
Yeah, super excited to be here to share a little bit of interesting things around branding and messaging, and you'll let you tell what we're going to talk about.
Oh, I am telling you, she has got my hot buttons because my audience understands how important I believe positioning is, having a crystal clear message, and creating what you would call, Fabi, a premier brand that really puts you in a category of one.
Exactly.
And I want to talk about that. But as we get there, please tell me and my audience, Fabi, how in the world did you get to do what you're doing today?
I love it. Well, I actually started my career in advertising, and I started working typical like in the ad world. And what happened is that I've been with my husband since high school. We've been together since we're kids, and my husband is a singer. So I started working like on the side, building his own brand and designing things for him. And little by little, I would bring in more and more of his music or musician friends or producers, eventually TV personalities, and all these different people asking me to help them build their brands. And so obviously, eventually I got to a point where I quit my job in the agency and started my own business in building brands. Now, in the beginning, it was more for musicians, TV personalities, all these different things. And today I focus on working mostly with coaches, consultants, and online experts. So it's completely different, but some of the concepts are still very similar and still the same, because at the core, it's about really getting clarity on who you are, who your audience is, and how you're going to position yourself in a very unique way. So that's what I do today. Focus on working with these people and helping them attract ready to invest, ready to buy premium clients by positioning themselves as the ultimate authority for what they do.
I love that. Good golly, you sound like me. I mean, just the way you said that, it was like, that's what I say. So I'm glad you're here to tell my audience the same thing I tell them, because they need to hear this. Here's one of the examples I use a lot. Tony Robbins built a brand over years, right? Does he have any problem attracting clients? Does he have any problem charging them $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 for a weekend or something? No, because of who he has become from his brand. About 30 years ago, he was a no-name. Before he was making people walk on fire at seminars. Then he launched a book called Unlimited Power. That put him on the map. And from there, he's built this empire around a brand. That's what you help these coaches and consultants do, because, well, I'm not going to tell you why, but you can tell them why, because they have a uniqueness, either a process, a personality, something that sets them apart. Talk about that and how you, what do you see are the challenges, because they all look the same to me.
Right.
How do you help them discover that unique premier brand?
I love it. Okay. So the thing that's going on in the marketplace is that obviously there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of competition, and there's a lot of saturation, although I don't really believe that. But I think that people do believe that there's a lot of saturation in every niche out there. So your job as a brand and as a business is to figure out, how do I bring in my own unique perspective, my point of view, my angle, my personality into my business, so that people make an easy buying decision and say, yes, I want to work with you. I actually have a process that I've created for this. I call it the 6 S's of singularity. And this is kind of like the things that you need to define to determine what makes you different. So the first S is your story or your stories, how you got here, or the little things or anecdotes that have happened throughout your life that will add and connect to your audience, who they are, what they're going through. The second S is your successes. So that means either your own success story or the success stories of the clients that have worked with you. The third one is your skills. And these are the things that you're great at. Either you've learned them, you have certifications, you have degrees, PhDs, or maybe it's just you were born with it and you're great at that thing. The next S stands for your superpower. And that has more to do with your style, your personality, or your brand archetype, how you're being perceived in the world. The next S is your stand, what you stand for and what you stand against, what you believe in, what your values are. And the final S are your steps. And that's your process, your unique framework, mechanism, system to get your audience results. And basically what you want to do is you want to look at and analyze these 6 things and really think about, okay, what are these things in my own life, in my business? How do I show up differently? It's really by incorporating these things together. If that makes sense.
Totally. I love that. I love that. She just codified everything that I've been telling my audience in 6 S's. That's great. But it is your story. I shared a story with you earlier before we got on here of how we help our clients discover the story that can become their brand that sets them apart. And so many business owners I find aren't telling that story, are so intrigued with, I need to do Facebook ads or Instagram or TikTok or whatever. And those are all good channels. They all work, but without a compelling story and position and brand, you're wasting money.
Oh my gosh, you and I are talking literally the same language, because this is literally what I talk about. I tell people, you don't have a marketing problem, you have a messaging problem. You're focused on, let me think about what platform to use or what strategy or what thing, and you're still saying the same thing. So therefore you're never going to really grow, because you're not capturing your people, because you're not leveraging your story, you're not leveraging your positioning, you don't know how to communicate to your people. I totally interrupted you, but I had to jump in.
No, it's good, because I mean, we're like 2 peas in a pod. I mean, It's really crazy, but I think what that tells my audience is that maybe there's some truth here. And so many times I feel like Charlie Brown's teacher, right? They just don't listen. And it's great having you here, because you're saying the same thing, but you do different things than I do, right? You got this great process and things, and I do all of my branding for clients around positioning them as being an author.
Exactly.
Right? You don't focus on creating them to be an author. You're helping them with coaching and positioning them to gain clients. Let's talk about that with coaches and consultants and online experts. It is a busy field. I mean, I can't tell you how tired I am of talking to business coaches. I'm a business coach. I graduated from so-and-so's class. I'm a business coach. It's like, shut up. There are thousands of them.
Yeah.
How do I choose? They look, here's my analogy, then I'm going to shut up. I say that most coaches, consultants, they look like coffee beans. Pour out coffee beans on your table in front of you. They all look the same. They smell the same. And if you're marketing, if you look like and sound like everybody else, you're a coffee bean. How do you become not a coffee bean? You know what? I think Fabi can help you do that, right?
I love that. Yes. Okay. So, bringing in what I was talking about before of really defining what makes you different. What you really have to understand is that at the end of the day, you're not really doing things that are so different from other people. Like if you're a weight loss coach, there's calories, there's like working out, there's mindset, there's proteins, carbs, fat, these aren't concepts that you can kind of, let me create a new concept to how we're going to solve it. I mean, there are different alternatives, but at the end of the day, you're teaching the same thing. So the only way that you can actually differentiate yourself from other people is by thinking about, what is your angle? How can you share anecdotes, storytelling, experiences, even analogies to make your point? And to use this example, I worked with a client last year who was or is a weight loss coach. And he came to me, he's like, yeah, I help men and women lose weight in 12 weeks. I was like, Gav, you sound like every other person out there. Let's kind of go deeper to understand what's the angle? How do we position yourself? So after really analyzing a lot of what he was doing and the results that he was getting, we came to a conclusion that his real ideal audience, and we'll talk about audience in a second because this is a big topic, his real ideal audience were actually men. And one of the big issues that these men were coming to him with were that they were having problems in the bedroom, let's say it like that. Right? Yep. So now the angle isn't just about losing weight because we want to lose weight. It's so that they can recover their confidence. We said something like, lose 20 to 30 pounds in 12 weeks without cutting carbs so that you can command confidently. I don't remember the exact words, but something like command the boardroom and the bedroom. Right? And that changed everything for him. Obviously allowed him to grow his business, but now it's not just about weight loss. It's about weight loss and also their sex life. So it's how can you bring that unique angle? How can you say things in a way that makes people feel like, oh, but actually that does sound like me. I want to know more.
Yep. And I'm going to pause here because you just hit a home run, and I hope my audience caught it. But in case they were sleeping or yawning or whatever, we're backtracking, okay? And go back and re-listen to what she said, because here's the way I say this. People will buy you more than what you do. And so that's number one. But number two is that coach was struggling. They look like everybody else. They thought they may have had a good message.
They were the coffee bean.
They were a coffee bean, yeah. And it took an outside perspective to be able to see that, wrestle with it, and come up with that new angle. That's why, listeners, you need to reach out to Fabi, because she's an outside perspective. I always tell our business owners, it's like being a business owner, it's like you're inside of like a Coke bottle that's empty. You're looking out, trying to read the label of that bottle. Exactly. You can't do it, right? I'm a marketing guy. I have 3 marketing coaches that look at my business because I'm too close to it. Just like this coach, just like my listeners, you're too close to your business. You're not going to figure this out on your own unless you're really, really rare. You need somebody like Fabi to look in, to talk and say, oh, here's the angle of attack that is going to help you conquer that battlefield that you're on. Is that fair, accurate?
100%. And I have a friend that says you can't see the color of your own eyes. It's so important for you to have these people from the outside to look in, because you're too close to your business and you need that outside perspective. And sometimes we think that we are saying things that sound different or that are clear. Just to give you another example, I just hopped off a group coaching call with my clients, and one of the women that is just joined the group was telling me, well, what I do is help women bring out their inner guru or inner warrior. I was like, what? I have no clue what that means. I mean, yes, you can sell something intangible, but you still need to ground it so that people can understand what that means. I was like, no. We need to shift this around. What does that mean? And I think that sometimes people are so inside of it that they think, well, obviously, when I say bring out your inner guru, I mean, it's clear, but it really isn't.
Well, it's not because
you need outside perspective.
Yeah, no, that's so perfect, because we know what it means because we've spent hours thinking about it. But
exactly.
You, the business owner, you do not think about your business the way your audience thinks about your business. Exactly. That's why you need Fabi to look in your business, because she thinks like your audience. She doesn't know all the ins and outs of your business. And 9 times out of 10, it doesn't matter. That's not where your brand is found most of the time. It's found more in your story, your personality, maybe your process, but it's not going to be found where you, business owner, think it is. And it's definitely not going to be found in some convoluted thing that makes me do what I call mental gymnastics. If I have to stop and actually think about what you just say and what does that mean, you're done.
You're out.
I'm moving on. All right, audience. You mentioned audience, and that's a big deal. So
big topic.
We talk message, got to have a crystal clear message, but talk about the importance of understanding your audience. And
yes. Okay. So this is, for me, one of the most crucial things that people get wrong and that they actually need to get right, because people do this thing that I call like the checkbox audience, right? You're like, oh, okay, my audience is made up of, let's use the example that I was saying before, Gab, right? They're made up of men and who are overweight and who have a job and who have an income. Well, that's my audience. Yeah. That is not your audience. There's a big difference between somebody who is like a checkbox, like check, that's my person, versus the person who's actually actively looking to invest and solve the problem, and who will value your job, right? You know, you're saying, hey, you have to go and work with Fabi, hire her. But, you know, that doesn't immediately turn these people into my audience, right? The people that are going to be my audience are the people who are like, have a vision, know that they're here to make a big impact, who understand that business takes investing and that business takes time, who are more focused on the payoff than the payment. And that's who your audience is too. So the biggest issue that people have is that they're focused on creating content and educating somebody who's never going to become their client. And what they need to do instead is speak to what I call well, not what I call, but I do call it the ready to invest version of your people. The people who are like, let's go. I don't care what it costs. Let's go. I'm ready for you right now.
And those people self-identify and bond with your brand. So I'm a Apple fanatic. Okay, I have an
Me too.
iPhone, an iMac. My whole family has iMacs, and part of it's because they're just superior products.
Clearly.
It's also because of the DNA of Apple and how they function as a company, the customer service, everything from the unboxing to the ordering, the unboxing to it's Apple. It's who I am as a person. It's who I want to be as a company, right?
Right.
And so if Apple comes out with another product, guess what? I'm not asking how much it is. I mean, that plays into it, but I spend at least double for a laptop computer, sometimes 3 and 4 times, because I want a MacBook Pro. I could go to Best Buy and buy a whatever, a PC. You know what PC stands for? Well, we won't talk about that. I mean, they're $300-400. I could buy one. It would probably do what I need it to do, but I'll invest $2,500 to get a MacBook Pro because I know, I'm confident, and I don't have to negotiate price or anything. I know what I want. That's what you're helping these coaches and consultants to do. They have to get in and understand. Here's another great example. I think a few years ago, this guy went on a TED Talk, and he had a kind of a whiteboard type thing, whatever you call those easels, and he drew 3 circles. And his whole thing was 3 words: start with why. Became a worldwide phenomenon. And then he went and wrote a book. And now he gets paid 6 figures for a 1-hour talk. Corporations bring him in. He's written multiple books now because of his brand. Simon Sinek. Out of a clear message, he is bonded with millions because of who he is, what he says, and he resonates with them because he's been able to clarify what's going on inside of them and give them a vision of how they can be better. And that's what you help these coaches do. Is that close?
Yeah, 100%. And I think what I really want you and your audience to understand is that when you are speaking to that audience who is the ready to invest person, ready to invest because financially they can invest, but also ready to invest because energetically they're ready for what investment means, right? They're ready for giving their time, their space, all the different things that are involved with it. What we need to know is, how do I speak to that person? And for that, you have to understand that these people experience the problem that you know how to solve in a very different way, right? They're not looking for surface level content that sounds like everybody else. You have to go deeper and kind of give them epiphanies throughout your content, like, oh, I've never heard of it like that. And now through that, you're kind of creating demand for the work that you're doing. You're pre-selling your offer or your services even before you've sold or told people exactly what you do. So that's why really understanding who your audience is fundamental. And of course, you need to infuse that with your angle, your personality, your story, all of these different things, and it kind of builds that brand.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going back to your 6 S's, right? And I'm just going to recap them: story, successes, skills, superpower, stand, and steps. Love stand and steps.
Yeah,
I'm a big Dan Kennedy fan, and cut my teeth on direct response marketing. And he always said that you need to stand. You want you need to be for somebody or something. That's your stand. And we've done a really good job of that in our company. And I want you to know what I'm for and what I'm against.
Exactly.
And that's okay. But your steps. A lot of coaches have a process. And one of my pet peeves, I guess, is the web developers somehow came out with, it's important to have 3 steps. Every website has 3 steps.
Well, I think that's because of StoryBrand, right? They came up with that concept, and
I guess. So let's blow that up, because one of my favorite marketers is Dave Ramsey. And he has 7 baby steps. He has built a fortune on 7 baby steps. And the cool thing about that is it's his process.
Right.
But anybody can go to his website or understand and say, oh, I'm on step 3. This is where I engage, or I'm on step 1, or where can I help you? So a coach, a consultant, you have 6 steps. I love that. It's unique, it's different. Everybody has this brand inside of them, number one. Fabi can help you get it out and clarify it. And when she does, what she's saying, without saying it as clearly, is that brand is going to resonate with your audience who is ready to invest.
Exactly. That's it. And let me kind of bring it back to the process or the system or the steps.
Yeah.
Because I really believe that it kind of brings everything together, right? It's about how do I share to my audience how we're going to take them from A to B in a way that feels different, where you're not just selling a program. Now, what I shared with you, the 6 S's of singularity, is actually a micro framework within my big framework, right? And I am a big fan, as you clearly can imagine, of having frameworks and systems that allow people to see who you are in a clear way. It makes people more reassured that this is not the same thing that they've done a million times before, but there's a different methodology, a different point of view, a different angle, like I was saying before, right? So my framework is actually called the brand strategy pyramid. And I go through kind of the different layers that it takes to build a premium brand and what it really takes to attract these types of clients, where it begins with that message that we talked about, who you are, who your audience is. Then we go into positioning your offer and building that framework. And then finally, you're bringing those pieces together to create a magnetic marketing strategy. How do I then convert these people into clients? How do I create content that builds demand for what I do? So that's one example, right? But it's really about thinking, not having your modules be your framework, right? Oh, module 1, not necessarily. Right. It's more about the big picture, kind of 30-foot view of, okay, these are the big components that are necessary for you to be able to succeed in whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah. So good. And I hope people hear that, because a lot of my clients, a lot of my audience don't have that. And they're selling widgets or whatever. Yeah. Or, transformation or mindset or whatever. Doesn't
Features
matter.
Over benefits, right?
Blah, 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 right? And I want to work with the guy who can, help me on the bedroom. That'd be great, right? Or exactly. the girl who can do this, and it's in there, it's latent, it's within you. It's just that it's hidden just enough that a business owner is rarely going to find it, because you're too close to yourself. And that's why having Fabi and talking with her and being part of her program and seeing this pyramid that she's got, and understanding that your brand needs to come out for you. It'll clarify your message, which will just, it will help you capture that audience, because your message now connects with them. And then you're not going to struggle as much with getting leads, because you're resonating with the right people. They're going to start coming to you.
Exactly.
Right? It makes marketing so much more fun, and it gives you something to say. If you want to go on a virtual stage or a podcast, what do you want to talk about? Well, if you have a brand, right, and you can talk about that, there you go. Now getting back to your website, and voila. That's kind of what you do with these coaches and consultants, right? You help them just really clarify that initial message, but then you help them connect with their audience so that they can grow their business long term. Because once you get this brand, it's probably there for a long time, right?
Right. But one thing that I want you to know is that the work that I do doesn't only apply to people that are just in the beginning phases of their business. I have literally had clients who are making $100,000 per month, over $100,000 per month, that came to me saying, Fabi, I have hit an income plateau. I'm not being able to grow. I want to hit 150. I want to hit 200 per month, and I'm not getting there. And it's so interesting. You would think, oh, if this person is at that level, well, it must mean that they have their messaging very clear and in place. Nope. And, I've at this point worked with 3 clients who were in over 100K per month in their business. And every single one of them was like, I don't know, obviously there's things that we're working, but we really need to make sure that we clarify this message. And immediately, I had one of my clients who was generated actually around 80K per month in her business. We shifted her message and she started making $150,000 almost immediately per month. And the biggest thing is attracting the right people, because what was happening with her before is she would have her calendar filled up with sales calls. She had a great lead gen system, but the calls were not good leads. She was closing maybe 10% of those people. And then now the calls diminished because the message was more specific, but now her close rate increased to over 71%. It was insane, right? So, it really comes down to, okay, if you've hit a point where you're like, I don't know, you might not be at 100K per month. Maybe you're at 10K or 20K or 50, whatever, it doesn't even matter. But if you've hit an income plateau where in the last 6 months, you've generated roughly the same income, or you're not generating a lot of engagement. And when I say engagement, I don't mean even likes or comments. I mean DMs from people saying, I'm interested in working with you. I want to know more. Or you're not generating sales calls. Or if you have sales calls, your conversion rate is under, I would say 15-20% of the people buy, you have a messaging issue. That's it. And that's what you need to come in and really look at. How do I communicate to the right audience?
100%, because you do this. You work with Fabi, you get your message right, your branding secure. You don't need to go spend lots and lots of money on this other stuff because the message communicates, captures, and converts for you. Fabi, fabulous. Thank you. How in the world do people take the next step? Where do they find you? Where do they go?
Perfect. Okay. So first thing that you want to do is go to readytoinvestclients.com, where I have a training where I really explain in much more detail and in depth and showing you visual examples, how to attract the ready to invest clients and how to position yourself as a premium brand. And then you can find me literally everywhere at Fabi Paolini, and I'm sure that they can see the show notes to see how that's spelled. FabiPaolini.com is my website. I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I'm literally on almost every single platform. I'm even on Twitter, but I don't tweet, so don't look me up on Twitter. But anywhere else you can find me as Fabi Paolini.
That's awesome. I am going to have all of that in the show notes, because I know in podcasting, some people are exercising, walking the dog, taking a bike ride, whatever. That's okay. I'm glad you're listening. I want you to get the information for Fabi. So I'm going to have that in there. readytoinvestclients.com is the website. That'll be in the show notes. I cannot stress enough the value of what Fabi does. I've seen it in my life, in the lives of hundreds of our clients, as we've positioned them, found their unique brand to create a book. Again, you don't have to create a book. You are a coach, you're a consultant, you're a business owner. You need this help, and you're just not going to do it yourself. You need Fabi. You need to reach out to her. Go to readytoinvestclients.com, check out the training, look for her online. Everything's in the show notes. Fabi, this has been tremendous. I love having an echo, a sister who speaketh the same language. And I'm grateful that you were on Expert Speak today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun.